Fourth grade lesson 3.4 is multiply using partial products. And we've used partial products already. Now we're just going to add the ability to do that with a two-digit number by a two-digit number. So let's get a look at this. Our essential question: how can you use place value and partial products to multiply two-digit numbers? And we'll unlock the problem. You know how to break apart a model to find partial products. Remember, by the way, just to serve your memory, partial products, or to break apart a number, was that expanded form. So if I had 27, that expanded form is I have 20 plus 7 is what equals 27. Expanded notation, right? How can you use what you know to find and record a product? So they want us to multiply 34 times 57. And yes, of course, we're still going to use that estimating skill because it helps us understand when we are ending up with a reasonable answer or not. It helps us understand what our answer should be close to. And again, I've been saying this, eventually this all happens inside your head. It doesn't happen on paper, and it becomes very simple and very quick. So we would round 34 to its nearest tens place. And since 34 is closer to 30 than it is to 40, and 4 is the stay number, then we're rounding that to 30. 57 is between 50 and 60. 7 is that up number. It makes it closer to 60, so we round that to 60. We know that 3 times 6 is 18, and then 1, 2 zeros on the end makes that estimate 1,800. That begins to happen really quickly after a while. If it hasn't already, it begins to happen really quickly because you know all of those tricks. Now we want to find the actual product. So we know whatever the answer is, whatever the product is, it's going to be right around 1,800. Now let's find what it actually is. Let's start with 34. They, on this side, put 30 plus 4 for our area model. And on this side, we have 57. They put 50 plus 7. So we expanded form here and expanded form here. So that's different from the previous chapter. Now we can just go ahead and multiply. They've got the 5 times 3 here. We're going to do the 50 times 30. Well, 5 times 3 is 15 with 1, 2 zeros. 15 with 2 zeros. And that gives us this right here. I guess they want us to write it right there. Okay, there we go. The next step we're going to do is this part right here. This 30 times 7 to get the rest of this. Well, we know that 3 times 7 is 21 with 1 0 on the end makes that 210. Now we have covered already this part and this part. So now what we'll do is we will look at the 4 down here and the 50 here. So we're going to look at this part right here. And we know that 5 times 4 is 20 with 1 0 on the end makes 200. And finally, we're going to look at this 4 times 7, this little tiny piece right here, 4 times 7. And we know that 4 times 7 is 28. And once I add all those together, I will know my product. So we just had to split apart these in expanded form and then multiply all the pieces. We did this part, then this part, then this part, then that part. And then we will just add them all together. We have 0 plus 0 plus 0 plus 8, which is 8. 1 plus 2, which is 3. 5 plus 2, which is 7, plus 2 more is 9. And then the 1 plus nothing. 1,938 is the actual product. Is it fairly close to 1,800, the estimate? Yes, it is. So this is a reasonable answer. Let's have a look at another example. This one in word problem form. Very good practice for us. First step, read the problem. The apples from each tree in an orchard can fill 23 bushel baskets. If one row of the orchard has 48 trees, how many baskets of apples can be filled? Let's underline the question. How many baskets of apples can be filled? Let's circle the information they gave us. The apples from each tree can fill 23 bushel baskets from each tree, and one row has 48 trees. So I have one row with 48 trees, and that is 23 plus 23 plus 23 plus 23 plus 23, 48 times. I know you don't want to be doing repeated addition and adding 23 together to itself 48 times over. That would be awful, right? So when you recognize that you're doing a repeated addition of the same number, switch to multiplication. I was warning you guys ahead of time, stop using the repeated addition. It's good to know how to use that, and it's good to use it when it's reasonable, but 23 added to itself 48 times is not a reasonable thing to do. You'll be adding forever. Shortcut, multiply. All right, we would round 48. It's 48 falls between 40 and 50, but it's closer to 50. We would round 23. 23 is between 20 and 30, but it's closer to 20. 5 times 2 is 10, plus 2 zeros is 10 with 2 zeros, also known as 1,000. So whatever my answer is, it should be somewhat close to 1,000. All right. They tell us to multiply the tens by the tens. So I'm going to draw this out still, though, so that you can see it spread out. We're going to do 20 plus 3. And then we're also going to do 40 plus 8. Because I want your brains to kind of see what's going on here. So they tell us, do multiply your tens places first. That's this part right here, 20 times 40. We're doing the 20 times 40 first. 2 times 4 is 8, and 2 zeros makes that 800. Tens is 800. I would write that as 800. And they did right here. They wrote that as 800. Now they want us to do the tens place here times the ones place here. Tens place the 40 times the ones place here. 4 times 3 is 12 with a 0 on the end. And here they put the answer here. Oh, I should have put the answer here. Oopsie. There we go. Line them up, right? And I should have put the answer here on that one. Okay. Back on track. All right. Now they tell us, now do the tens on this one times the ones on this one. So basically it's like a combination. We're just doing the tens times the tens, and then one of the tens times the ones, and the other 10 times the other ones. And this is what it looks like over here. We're doing this 20 here times the 8. So we're doing this part, 20 times the 8. And that is 2 times 8 is 16 with 1 0 on the end for 160, which is 16 tens. And finally, since I've done the tens times each of those, both tens times each of those, I finish off with the ones place, the 3 times 8. That's the 3 times the 8 right here. 3 times 8, as you know, is 24. By now you probably have that one memorized pretty well. And then I would add all of those together. That's a 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That carries over. 8, 9, 10, 11. That is 1,104 baskets can be filled. And is that a reasonable answer, close to my estimate? It sure is. If I'd ended up with 5, then I would have been going, that is nowhere close, right? That's why we estimate, so that we have an idea of what our answer should be-ish. All right, let's look at number 1 on our Sharon show. If you feel like you want to pause this one to try it on your own, go ahead. If you're not sure yet, then that's okay. Let it keep playing. They gave us in the area model form and then in this standard form kind of written out. And so we'll kind of look at it both ways to get your brain used to everything. For 34, they did 30 plus 4, 34. And for 24, they did 20 plus 4, 24. And then we're going to multiply them. But before I do that, they didn't ask for the estimate, but I want you to start seeing how quick this happens. 34 is between 30 and 40, but it's closer to 30, so that rounds to 30. 24 is between 20 and 30, so, and it's closer to 20, so that rounds to 20. And 3 times 2 is 6 with 2 zeros on the end. My estimate is 600. My answer, whatever it is, should be 600-ish, somewhere around there. And since I rounded down both times, it's going to be higher than that. I rounded 34 down to 30, and I rounded 24 down to 20, so my answer, actual product, will be higher. All right, let's look at the multiplication. So we're going to do this part first. That is the 2 tens places I'm taking care of. 30 times 20, the 2 tens places. 3 times 2 is 6 with 2 zeros on the end, and that gives me 600. Now we're going to do the tens place here times the ones place here. That is this thing going on, the 20 times the 4, this section. 2 times 4 is 8, with 1 0 on the end gives me 80. Then we're going to reverse it. We're going to do this 10 times this one. This 10 times this one. That's this section right here. 4 times 3 is 12, with 1 0 on the end is 120. And finally, we're going to do the 2 ones columns, the 4 times 4. That is this section right here, the 4 times the 4, which is 16. And once it's all multiplied, I add up all of those products together for the full product. 0 plus 0 plus 0 plus 6. 8 plus 2 is 10, plus 1 more is 11. That's going to require a little carryover there. 6 plus 1 is 7, plus 1 is 8. The actual answer is 816. That is the product. And when we compare it to our estimate of 600, it's fairly close. We knew it was going to be higher than the estimate of 600, and it was. So there's that. A little more practice, and I think you'll be experts. All right, we're on number 2 and 3 of the Sharon Show. Again, you're welcome to try this, pause, and then play when you think you've got it or when you get stuck. Or you're welcome to just kind of go along with me because maybe you're just still not sure. Your call. All right. I'm going to round these first. I'm going to get my estimate. I'm going to show you how it gets done in my head. 12 is between 10 and 20, but 12 is closer to 10. And here it is again, 10. So if I rounded that to 10 and I rounded that to 10, I have 10 times 10, which is 100. So my estimate should be 100-ish. And since I rounded down on both of them, it's going to be a number that's a little higher than 100. We'll see. Okay, I'm going to do this both ways for you. I'm going to do this with that grid because maybe you need that crutch for a little bit, and then I'll do it with just pointing out which sections I'm doing. So 12 is 10 plus 2, and 12 again is 10 plus 2. So I would have something that looks like this as my area model. I'm going to multiply both of my tens columns first. That's this part 10 times 10 right here. And 10 times 10 is 100, or 1 times 1 with 2 zeros on the end is 100. All right. Now I'm going to choose this 10 and multiply it by this 1. So I have this 10 multiplying by this 1. 10 times 2 is 20. Or 1 times 2 with 1 0 on the end, right? Then I'm going to go in the reverse over here. So I already did these two, and I already did these two, and now I'm going to do these two. This 10 times this one, 10 times 2, that is right here, this part. This 10 times this 2 is this part right here. And 10 times 2, as you know, is 20. So we had that again. And finally, my ones columns, 2 times 2, that's this little part right there. And 2 times 2 is 4. Add those together for 144 is my product, the final answer. So these are all products too. They were just products, partial. That's what they mean by partial products, is it's the partial of the whole thing, and then we have to put it all together. It's this partial one, then this partial one, then this partial product, and then that partial product. So it's getting the partials and then putting them all together. Reasonable answer? Yes, we knew it was going to be a little bit over 100, and it was. Let's look at this one. Let's do that rounding again, that estimating, because But, we want to get good at it. 31 is between 30 and 40, but it's closer to 30 than it is to 40. I round that to 30 in my head. 24 is between 20 and 30. It's kind of almost in the middle of 20 and 30, but it's closer to 20 than it is to 30, so I round that to 20. So I have 30 times 20 as my estimate. 3 times 2 is 6 with 2 zeros on the end. My estimate is 600-ish. And I know I rounded down on both of them, so it's going to be over 600-ish. A little bit. Let's do the 3 times 2 first. The tens places. That is, and let me just draw it. I feel like some of you just may still need to see this part. I want to make sure your brain has the understanding of what we're doing. Okay, so I have 30 plus 1 makes 31, and 20 plus 4 makes 24. There we go. That way your brain knows what's going on. And I'm going to focus on these two tens places. 3 times 2 is 6, and these are both in the tens place. The tens place here and the tens place here. 3 times 2 is 6 with 2 zeros on the end. Gives me 600. Now I will do this tens place with this ones place. This is this going on right here. 20 times 1 is 20. Now I will do the other cross, this 10 times this one. So I have, and that's where this 30 times this 4, that's this section right here. 30 times 4, well, 3 times 4 is 12 with 1 0 on the end, 120. And finally, I'll take care of the ones places. 1 times 4, that's this little guy right here. 1 times 4 is 4. Those are all my partial products, and now I will add them all up to get my main product. 2 plus 2 is 4, and 6 plus 1 is 7. 744 is not too far off from 600, especially knowing that we rounded down on both of those numbers. Reasonable answer. Okay, we'll do number 4 and 5 as practice together, and then hopefully it's starting to make sense to you. You can practice these by pausing and trying it. It's always good to try it because then you know exactly where you're getting stuck, and then you can get that clarified. So it didn't ask us to estimate, but I'm going to because I really feel like it needs the practice. 25 is between 20 and 30, and it's right in the middle. That 5 tells us to go ahead and round up. We're going to round that up to 30. 43 is between 40 and 50, and that 3 makes it closer to 40 than it is to 50. I'm going to round that to 40. 4 times 3 is 12 with 2 zeros makes that 12 with 2 zeros, also known as 1,200. Our answer should be somewhere around that, and it should be pretty close to that because on one of them I rounded up and the other one I rounded down. Should be pretty close. Okay, now the process I'm going to do on this, if I don't show my grid, if I don't show the area model, is I'm going to do the 20 times 40 first, then the 40 times 5, then the 20 times 3, and then the 5 times 3. That's the process I would do when I'm doing partial products, just so that your brain can see it. I mean, you can, for this whole lesson, you can draw this part out if you feel like it helps you. So we've got 25, which is the same as 20 plus 5. Then we have 43, which is the same as 40 plus 3. Okay, and there we go. So I'm doing the 20 times 40 first. That's what this part is visually. 20 times 40, 2 times 4 is 8 with 2 zeros on the end, 800. 2 times 4 and 2 zeros on the end, 800. Then I'm going to do this 40 times 5. That's this part right here, 40 times 5. 4 times 5 is 20 with 1 0 on the end. 20 with 1 0 on the end is 200. Now I will do this 20 over here times the 3. 20 times 3 right here. 2 times 3 is 6 with 1 0 on the end. Makes 60. And finally, this little tiny part here, the 2 ones places, 5 times 3. 5 times 3 is 15. No zeros on the end on that one. And then there's all our partial products. Now we will go ahead and add those partial products together for the full product. 6 plus 1 is 7. 8 plus 2 is 10. My answer comes out to be 1,075. Pretty reasonable because it's pretty close to my estimate. Great job if you got it. If not, if you found where your error was or where you got stuck and you got unstuck, good for you too. That's great. You can try this one too. I'm going to go ahead and do the estimate. 37 falls between 30 and 40, but this 7 makes it closer to 40 than it is to 30. And 26 falls between 20 and 30, but this 6 is a high number, so I'm going to round that up to 30. I rounded both of these up. This went up higher and this went up higher, so whatever my estimate is, it's going to be higher than my actual answer will be. 4 times 3 is 12 with 2 zeros on the end. My answer is going to be near 1,200, but it'll be a little below that because I rounded up on both of these numbers. Hopefully you're starting to catch that. We're going to be multiplying the 30 times 20 first and get that partial product. Then we will do the 20 times 7 and get that partial product. And then the 30 times 6 for that partial product. And finally, the 7 times 6. Let's look at it visually. And again, if you need to write that out visually every time, go ahead. We have 37, which is the same as 30 plus 7. And we have 26, which is the same as 20 plus 6. There we go. 30 times 20. 30 times 20. 3 times 2 is 6 with 2 zeros on the end. Gives us 600. Then we do the 20 times 7. That's this part here. 20 times 7. 2 times 7 is 14. With 1 zero on the end, that's 140. Then we're going to do the 30 times 6. 30 times 6, that's this part right here. 3 times 6 is 18. And 1 zero on the end. And finally, the last bit left is the 6 times 7. The ones column, 6 times 7 is 42. Those are our partial products. Let's add all of this together for our whole product. 0 plus 0 plus 0 plus 2 is 2. 4 plus 8 is 12. 13, 14, 15, 16. There's some carryover. 6, 7, 8, 9. 962 is our full product. A little lower than 1,200. We knew it would be a little lower than that. So our answer is reasonable. And there it is. I hope you're understanding this fine. We can continue practicing in class if it's necessary, but I think you'll pick it up with practice. And if it helps to do this area model for this portion, for this lesson, use it the whole time. That's great.